a load of online stuff at the end of 2023 comes out about him, I feel very torn of what to...
Ladies and gentlemen, some of your viewers, hope you're having a good day, because I certainly am, and in today's video we're compiling all the most recent Dream SMP related drama. So drama with people like Rambo, TommyInnit, Dream, Sapnap, Tubbo, and the rest. If you're new here and don't know the drama, sit back and relax, you're in for a bumpy ride, and for those that do, just put this on in the background, do whatever else, study, clean, whatever you may do, and without further ado, let's dive into the compilation at hand.
Read out my whole set to a room. And above me, when I did it, there was a swastika.
Recently, a post started gaining traction about a Tubbo stream from last year that went unnoticed. I mean, prepare yourselves, because you're not going to be able to guess what it is. There's no world where this is remotely acceptable. For him to retell the story as if it's no big deal is disgraceful. For him to recite their slogan on stream and say it's the best part after performing an entire set with a swastika above his head. And to deny that's what he did and say that he refuses to believe he entertained the utter lack of self-awareness and disregard for that symbol and group's history is nauseating. There isn't a world where anyone can claim to stand for good while performing for and gathering with Nazis. We're going to take a look at the full clip, not just the clips that this user has posted. We're going to look at it in its entire context and see if this person is being disingenuous with their take and what actually happened on this Tubbo stream. I do want to thank the people that told me about this in my comments and then tagged me as well under the post.
I'm gonna make a solid 40.
Don't do it now, Jack. I did it now and it was the worst.
No, I'm not gonna, I wasn't planning on it.
Oh, it was just so funny.
That's my business.
I really loved the joke that was attached to it. So now whenever I think of that traumatizing moment for you...
Do you know I read out my whole set to a room. And above me, when I did it, there was a swastika.
What?
Oh, that was terrible.
He didn't know.
But it was a rainbow swastika.
That
What?
was confusing.
He didn't
So the bar where we did stand, we didn't notice until Tom got on stage. I started filming and went, ooh.
Hang on, we're in a gay Nazi bar.
What you're going to notice in this clip is I think TommyInnit's phrasing of the events kind of screws him over here more than the actual events would. Because whilst I bet the video of his comedy routine is unusually funny, because we all know that TommyInnit comedy routines aren't usually funny, and this is the one time I would actually pay to see it, there's a possibility that the swastika in question that is hanging above his head in this routine isn't actually one to be associated with that group, and is maybe a religious symbol in fact. It's more Tommy's phrasing here and how they talk about the situation that screws him over more than that possibility.
It was like terrible.
Yeah. But here's the better
allowed?
thing. They loved the GOTS joke.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
fucking
you're shocked.
shit. They're fucking Nazis. What?
Why
Oh,
not
gay
know what
Nazis.
they were? It was really confusing because it was like,
What?
I'll show you.
Yeah.
it was weird, man. It was like, the whole room was like patterned with different skateboards with different designs, and one of them was a backwards rainbow swastika.
Why Jack Manifold there saying it was a backwards facing one is what makes me believe that there is a strong possibility that it isn't the one that is associated with that evil group. I think in this situation, because we haven't actually seen this comedy routine, we haven't seen TommyInnit stand underneath it, we have no idea what it actually looked like, we're just going off of what they're saying here. I think it's important to give a charitable view and two sides of the coin. The main question is, I just don't know why you would say this on stream, because you're just going to stumble over your words, you're going to put your foot in it, you're going to say something wrong that makes you look 10 times worse than what the actual situation is.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was.
I did look it up to see if it was like a specific signifier or something. But
There's me, and there's the gay.
Oh my god.
It was weird.
Yeah, no, that's just a swastika. That isn't a pride flag. It's the wrong orientation.
It was
yeah,
also
exactly.
backwards,
It's just
which
a
was
rainbow.
weird.
It's just a rainbow. It's
Yeah.
not
And this is the best part. This is the part I didn't say on my stream. It has the caption, "Rule hard, rule proud."
Oh god. Oh, what a horrific place.
Because of that slogan as well, this is where a lot of people are saying that no, this is something that is affiliated with that group. As much as I would absolutely love to see that clip of TommyInnit performing underneath it, we have no idea what it looks like, right? I can't jump to conclusions, I can't jump to assumptions here. We've got to be charitable and give both sides of the coin, not make any conclusions here. That would be reckless of me, and it would also be reckless as you, the viewer, to jump to assumptions about this. You have no idea what it looked like. We're just going off of their descriptions, what they said, and we can critique them on what they're saying, I guess.
Hey, it's not gay. Like,
Yeah, I think
it's not. It's just a rainbow. It's just a swastika.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Not positive.
No.
What the fuck?
But they weren't Nazis.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, well, they really like my set.
This is where we can have a critique, right? Because they're all working under the assumption that TommyInnit has performed his comedy, his awful comedy, at a place full of Nazis, and TommyInnit is defended that because they enjoyed his set. Regardless if the symbol was of a religious orientation or something else outside of that specific group's one, just because of what TommyInnit is saying here and all the assumptions that they're working underneath, that's where your critiques can come in.
Yeah, dude,
I refuse to believe I've entertained Nazis.
Well,
I don't think you meant to, but I think you might have done.
Well, don't say that. Tell me I've not entertained Nazis.
Why? Hey, I don't feel better either. We didn't notice
You
till after
also
I'd done my
entertained
Yeah, we
Nazis.
didn't notice till after I'd done it as well.
So you both
Hang on.
entertained
We
Nazis.
noticed after I entertained the Nazis, and then Jack made the
Fuck
choice.
off! No, I did not! Fuck off! Fuck
You went last. and I
Do
went
not
first.
throw me under. We did not. I didn't fucking notice by that point. Do not fucking do that.
I love TommyInnit's thought process here, right? I'm being like questioned just a little bit, right? I might put my foot in it on a public stream. What can I do? Let me just throw my friend under the bus to make him look 10 times worse than he probably actually is.
how is that like allowed?
It was Ohio.
We were in the middle
Right.
of Ohio.
Okay, it was
we were
Ohio.
in a city called Painesville.
Hmm.
Well, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to.
Yeah, that's kind of fucking depressing.
Oh man. Things have really gone downhill for me, haven't they, if I'm sat?
Yeah, me too. And then you tried to make me look like I'd done it on purpose, you prick.
So panicked.
Because you
So
you did just make it sound like you made the conscious choice to entertain Nazis.
Again, this is where critiques can come in because that's the assumption they're working under, and TommyInnit just threw Jack under the bus to shield himself.
To be
That is a pretty bad
Yeah.
accusation.
that is,
You
yeah.
insinuated Jack looked at it and went, it's fine.
Maybe in Painesville they just
And
don't
look,
know
you can't have a
what-
haircut like this and imply that about people, alright?
You know, that's very fair. He's being very
Maybe in
fair.
Ohio, in Painesville, they just don't. They're just behind.
Stop trying to justify it.
No.
Well,
Shut
yeah,
up.
yeah, shut
Please
up.
shut
Well,
up.
I didn't mean
Shut
to.
up.
No.
Oh, well, Harry's going to understand.
But
In two minds of this, right? Because he's put his foot in it, right? He's the one that brought it up on stream, right? Which is such a reckless and careless thing to do because you're just going to end up putting your foot in it entirely, right? But then he gets up and leaves, right? Which is a funny thing, right? Because he's just literally running away from the controversy and mess that he's created. As well, it's kind of a sensible thing to do because, you know, you're just going to keep putting your foot in it if you stay there.
it's just a
As someone who's
it's just
a
evil.
big part of his job is being live, he says a lot of things that you maybe shouldn't say live.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you think he'd learn. You do
You
think,
think-
he'd learn.
You think he'd adapt, change, improvise, overcome? No.
I
just-
just think Harry.
He just
Go see how,
Yeah.
you've got an out.
well,
What I'm more shocked about with this clip is the fact that I hadn't heard about it until now, right? This stream is from 2024, because usually you would think that TommyInnit's audience and the people that are watching this would jump to conclusions and blow this out of proportion and blow it up across social media and talk about it. But I heard more chatter about AI than I did this clip.
But we didn't notice until Tom got on stage. I started filming and went, ooh.
There is a lot to be said about these clips, and people have not held back on social media. So we're just going to read a few of the people's reactions and thoughts of this, because there isn't anybody really that is defending TommyInnit in this instance, or being charitable, or giving two sides of a coin. It is just lots of people absolutely shitting on the guy. I don't care about YouTube drama, especially when it comes to people that are associated with the Dream SMP, but holy shit, why have none of his fans ever brought it up? Why didn't he walk out when he realised he was at that type of bar? Because yeah, their assumptions about this is that that's exactly what happened, right? They were at that type of bar performing to those type of people, so yeah, people are going to critique that even if that wasn't the case, right? Even if this bar wasn't that type of thing and that symbol wasn't associated with that group and it was more of the religious variety and represented something entirely different. Because of all their reasonings and what they did were working under that assumption, you can critique it in that way. Can't wait to see the Inniters make an excuse for this one. Their fave is a misogynistic, privileged, fat-phobic, sexist, clout-chasing, immature POS who is also now chill with that group. How could he do this and retell it so nonchalantly? How the fuck can anyone support this shit? Do you think it is just a tad bit disingenuous, right, to say that he's chill with that group? I do think that is, you know, not realizing the full context of it or giving just any shred of charitability. This is the most uncharitable take that you could possibly have on the situation. This is so fucking nauseating, seriously. How do you realize this and continue to perform in a place like that and then just sit there casually and say they weren't that group when there's a banner that says rule hard and rule proud? You know what's fucked up is is another place they're talking about. It was not a swastika, it was a manji. Kind of fucked up to compare or confuse a Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism symbol with that group swastika. Not that I'm surprised with the kind of people Tommy hangs out with. All of the atrocious, bizarre, disgusting ways to retell this story, this is pretty high up there. They weren't that group. Oh yeah, sure. They just went to that group bar with that group symbol in a non-that group way. If you can support this, go ahead and block me. So Jack knew it was a that group bar when Tommy came on stage because he had a swastika above his head and just let him do his full performance, and they don't even regret what happened. They just think it was weird and funny. Like I've said in this video, I don't think there are things to critique here, right? Because they're working under the assumption that it is that group symbol and that they perform to a variety of people from that group. So what they say there is 100% criticizable, just like I've done in this video. TommyInnit 100% puts his foot in it as well, and the way he's described it has made it look 10 times worse than it possibly is. It's important in this type of situation where we don't really know the full context because we can't actually see the symbol that he was performing under to give that charitable view as well, that charitable aspect, whilst also being free to criticize him because he was working under the assumption that it wasn't that charitable aspect. There's no point me going in there guns blazing and ripping this guy apart when that could not actually be the thing. Of course, criticizing him for how he's talking about the situation and the assumptions that he's working on and how he's choosing to then go ahead with that is understandable, but I do think people are being disingenuous when they're talking about this situation and retelling the events of what happened.
I fully didn't know that AI was bad, by the way. I fully just thought it was funny.
I'm sorry, TommyInnit, I hate to call you out immediately. I like to usually pat it out, but this can't wait, because that is simply just a bold-faced lie. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is in reference to the situation where TommyInnit got massively cancelled by his audience and the internet for using AI in a YouTube video. Now, on this video, in the description, TommyInnit actively says that he knows that AI is bad and that's what he thinks. That's an opinion he had voiced previously and went with that narrative that AI was bad. TommyInnit will always follow the more popular narrative at the time. If the narrative is that AI is bad, he will go with that, but if he can see potential to use it for content, to get him views, to get him more popularity, he will 100% do that. It's exactly the same kind of thing he did with Logan Paul. When Logan Paul was benefiting him and when he could collab with him with content and get more relevancy from him, it was completely fine. He completely ignored any of Logan Paul's actions. But as soon as it started affecting him and Logan Paul started getting a more negative reputation, he turned on him and decided to use him for content. This is something we've extensively spoken about on this channel. It's TommyInnit's behavior, the fact that he is an incredibly hypocritical, scummy person, somebody who hasn't got a moral compass and will turn at the flip of the hat when it benefits him. We've gone over TommyInnit's actions so much on this channel, and recently he spoke about the whole AI controversy on stream. Of course, I don't really care, realistically, that he used AI in a video. I care more about the hypocrisy points, the fact it goes against things that he was saying, and the fact he will do anything to keep a good reputation. These are all things I've stated in my heinous amount of videos on TommyInnit. I'm not going to keep repeating myself, so without further ado, let's dive straight into the brand new content at hand.
I fully didn't know that AI was bad, by the way. I fully just thought it was funny. If I'd have known it was really bad for the environment, I never even would have even had a single thought about doing that. I had no clue. I didn't even know. And let me tell you now, I haven't been in bother for a long time, and it stressed me out, guys.
What I find hilarious about the situation is the timeline is so funny. TommyInnit comes out and says that AI is bad and goes against it because that is the popular narrative, especially with his viewers. He then realizes, no, this is something that I can use in content, and it's something that is popular to talk about at the moment, so that's what I'm going to do. His fans then have a massive backlash against him. He gets absolutely cancelled online, so he walks everything he said back and starts virtue signaling again and just goes back running in a circle to AI is bad. And it's very obvious the only reason he's virtue signaling and saying the things he's saying now is because he got so much flack for it.
And I think if you could have known how much it stressed me out, you maybe would have given me a break, because I didn't even know, mate.
Love that he's trying to victimize himself here, saying, look, it stressed me out so much, you know, if you realized how much it affected me, you probably would have given me a break. No, nobody hopefully would have given you a break, because not only was this a great opportunity to bring up all your previous controversies that lots of people woke up to, but it was also a great opportunity to point out your hypocrisy, something that you do 24/7. It was just a great opportunity to do that, so no, hopefully no one would have given you a break because you got criticism you deserve. Maybe not necessarily so much just focusing on the whole AI factor and him using AI, but the hypocrisy there, things he'd previously stated, and all his other controversies getting brought up.
And you know I'm literally never even bad. Alright. Sorry, guys. It's my one thing I pride myself on, not being bad. Alright? It's my one thing. I'm alright.
I could bring up 101 things right now that would go against this argument and show you that TommyInnit is somebody who is a detestable individual. I mean, hell, we've compiled over nearly 2 hours of content together of just stuff from this year to show you how much of a bad individual TommyInnit truly is, and that he isn't this golden boy of YouTube. But my favourite one forever will be, and the one that I will always bring up, is the fact that he weaponized GeorgeNotFound's false allegations against Dream just to score a couple of brownie points on the internet.
With your group, I cannot believe how the George stuff from a year ago went down. I cannot believe the response to it online. It's disgusting. It's sexist, man. And you and your friends' references and the way you talk about women behind the scenes has been so sexist too. Shame on you guys.
Somebody who weaponizes provenly false allegations against another individual who isn't even the focal point of that said allegation just to win your stupid online beef is somebody who is a detestable individual and can never class themselves as a good person.
I hate AI. I hate robots. I go into fast food stores, or no, I go into the co-op and I see the self-serve scan machine and I go, I hate you! You make me so cross. You're so crap for the environment. I hate robots. I hate them. And yeah, in the time between my video and being educated, I extensively use ChatGPT for therapy.
I'm sorry, that will never not be funny to me, using ChatGPT as a therapist, alongside asking if you won certain dramas with people like Dream. That's absolutely hilarious. I'm gonna notice as well, and what's made very apparent by these 2 streams that I pulled these clips from, is it's very, very clear that TommyInnit has absolutely no idea what he's talking about when it comes to AI. He's said that he's quote-unquote educated himself on it, and he realizes how bad it is. He hasn't done that. He simply read a few tweets that were pushing back against him, that have said that AI is bad. He's taken that. He's taken the core argument of it's bad for the environment, and he's run with that because that's what his audience was pressuring him on. Simply parroting the things that other people were saying to him because he doesn't want to get called out and cancelled by his own fans again. That's what he's scared of. He doesn't actually give a shit what he's saying. He has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't care about AI or anything like that. He's just parroting what his audience is saying so he doesn't get cancelled or called out again.
But I didn't know it was bad, and if I'd have known, I wouldn't have done it. And now I'm worried because it has all my secrets. Every one of them. The robot knows, and I've turned on it. And now I'm fucked, aren't I? But I didn't know. Someone on Reddit is upset about your AI therapy. Well, I don't want no one on Reddit to be upset. I'm not a baddie, mate. I promise. Let's be honest, you'd know by now. With your group, I cannot believe how the George stuff from a year ago went down. I cannot believe the response to it online. It's disgusting. It's sexist, man. And you and your friends' references and the way you talk about women behind the scenes has been so sexist too. Shame on you guys.
Yes, Tommy, you are an incredibly good guy. There is nothing critiquable about you whatsoever. Nothing has come out where you should be criticized for it, and the only reason that you get away with it on such a big scale is because your audience simply don't give a fuck. So you don't care because your core audience doesn't care and will defend you on basically absolutely everything unless it is something like AI.
How is AI bad for the environment? It's just bad. Shut up, it's just bad. Alright guys, stop bringing it up now. I've moved on. I'm done with it.
It's just such a stupid and disingenuous thing to lie about. Why are you going to say that you've educated yourself on it, or you know that how bad it is for the environment now, or whatever, and when somebody asks you how it's bad for the environment, you simply don't know, so you have to give an answer like that. The reason he's saying this is because he knows this is the major critique against him from his core audience, and if he says this, he can just simply keep them on his side.
TommyInnit. Why? I truly believe I'm a good voice for this generation, guys. And if you don't like that, you can fuck right off.
Yes, I too believe TommyInnit is a good voice for this generation. Somebody who weaponizes false accusations against somebody. Somebody who even pushes false accusations at times. Somebody who is incredibly disingenuous, compulsively lies, and throws his friends under the bus is an incredible voice for our generation that should genuinely be taken seriously and listened to.
Techno on the pod. I would have done, but all my woke fans hate AI. Oh, I would have had AI techno on it. Would have been so sick. Fuck's sake. Well, what, guys? What if I fed it my own water? That'd be fine, wouldn't it? No.
What do you want about that clip? I just think it's kind of hilarious how much AI and this whole situation is playing on his mind, only because his audience massively cancelled him over it. He doesn't care about any of the actual critiques against him because lots of them haven't even scratched the surface of the attention that the AI stuff got. He only cares here because lots of his audience turned against him over it and made tweets that absolutely blew up. I can almost guarantee you that if his audience didn't actually care about the whole AI thing and it was just commentary channels like me and other individuals that were pointing out the hypocrisy with what he was doing and, you know, how weird and obsessive he was in that video about people like Logan Paul and Dream and others, he wouldn't have cared. He wouldn't have switched up onto the position he is now, and he wouldn't be virtue signaling because his core audience wouldn't give a shit.
Guy who was terrified of being cancelled, by the way. Yeah, it's all fun and games, isn't it, till I have like 9 anxious pangs later when I'm trying to fall asleep. I'm on a good run right now. You have like a day since, Tommy, like they have in The Simpsons, days without cancel. It was pretty. I just had a long streak before the. I was solid, mate.
Although he says this like he wasn't being critiqued for anything else up until that point, like he was just such a good guy that the only thing that he's been critiqued for a very long time is the whole, AI thing. Because his track record definitely wasn't solid. I think what he means to say here is his core audience not going against what he's saying and what he's doing. That's what he actually means here, because a lot of the issues that people have with TommyInnit, his core audience simply don't say anything about and don't give a shit about.
It only counts, by the way, once there's a tweet about it that has like more than like 70 or 80,000 likes.
Round of applause for the honest TommyInnit, by the way. Well done, mate.
AI is PogChamp. Why are you saying that? Don't say that. Wait, try to say it in my voice. AI is PogChamp! Tubbo, we have to get on AI! It's amazing! Joking. It's not. It's bad, lads.
AI's situation, by the way, definitely not playing on his mind whatsoever. It definitely isn't saying that because he's absolutely terrified of being clipped out of context and his whole audience turning on him again. There's a little bit more about AI, right, which came into the whole is AI used in the medical field, which related back to some stuff that he said on Question Time and got questioned about on Question Time, a show in the UK. It's very clear to me from these streams, if it wasn't already before, that TommyInnit only made that original apology post to Virtue Signal. He doesn't actually care. He's only parroting what his most outspoken audience members are saying because he's absolutely terrified of being cancelled again. He simply doesn't care. And simply, I think we've caught TommyInnit in an absolute another lie. It's ultimately what I care about. I care about his hypocrisies, his lies when it comes to situations, AI or not, because that is the person that TommyInnit is. He's a disingenuous liar, which I hope has not only been shown in this video, but my other coverage of TommyInnit, and I will continue to do so until more people genuinely wake up to this fact.
A load of online stuff at the end of 2023 comes out about him. I feel very torn of what to do.
We're going to be covering a podcast that TommyInnit recently went on. Usually when I saw this released, I made like a quick jokey community tab about it potentially giving more content, and I watched it and I didn't necessarily see anything that I wanted to talk about. But it wasn't until there was lots of discussion about this podcast and rolled up quite a few people that I wanted to go over these clips that mention Dream, people like Logan Paul, and just, talk about it. This all kind of stems from the fact that TommyInnit doesn't really speak harshly or critical of Dream in this podcast. Actually, he has even a few nice words to say about it and comes across incredibly mature when discussing these topics.
And then I meet Dream, who is another up-and-coming YouTuber who knows so much more about the sort of science of YouTube than I do. And he really starts helping me and giving me these advice calls, and he really sees something in me, and he really helps me. And we have these calls where he's like helping me with YouTube and teaching me about it.
Lots of people have brought up the fact that TommyInnit is crediting Dream with giving him lots of helpful advice, actually seeing something in him and, not talking about him in this aggressive fashion like he did when he was speaking about Dream giving advice and holding it over him in his Dream video from 7 months ago.
Dream, 4 years ago, you were awful to me. When I was 16, you gave me YouTube advice and you held that over my head for years. You didn't treat me like an equal, and you made me feel small. The Dream SMP, a lot of your success just wouldn't have happened without me.
I don't want to say it because it just seems incredibly obvious, but I feel like these are two different scenarios. One, he's on an incredibly mature podcast, he probably wants to come off mature, he's not around a group of friends, he's not in active drama, so he's probably going to come off differently. And because he's not in active drama, he's not going to be as angry, and he can also still see the Dream did give him advice. I mean, even in the middle of the drama, he still said the Dream gave him advice, but his problem with him was the fact that he held it over his head, allegedly. When TommyInnit is like crediting Dream for giving him advice, that doesn't mean that he still doesn't have those issues, or that, he doesn't still think negatively of him. He's just merely accepting and saying that, yeah, Dream did give me advice during that time, because that's kind of the question.
Why do you think he helped you? Because one is, from my, Minecraft experience, Dream is a big freaking deal.
Yeah.
Right? And what I find interesting is with a lot of the YouTubers, in particular the Minecraft YouTubers, it appeared as if there was this brotherhood of assistance, like a fraternity, opposed to I'm not going to share it with you.
Everyone loved each other, man.
Why do you think that happened?
Well, because we're all misfits, and we don't fit in, and then we're all together.
This does have a point to play, because there's quite a few people that are saying that TommyInnit has now switched up on Dream, or that, he views him in a completely different light now, because he's not, like, tearing him to shreds, and he's speaking, maybe a bit more positively and lightly about Dream in these clips. Another clip people are trying to bring up as well to make this point and go with it is the fact that he says poor Dream when referencing the fact that Dream was the one that had to call up TommyInnit to give him the news that sadly Technoblade had passed away.
And that night, I had a call from Dream, poor Dream, had to break the news to me that Techno had died. He got diagnosed with cancer in the end of 2021, and that was yeah.
And again, I think this is pretty self-explanatory, and I don't understand why people are hyper-focusing and fixating on this point. TommyInnit said poor Dream because he understands the difficulty of telling somebody that their friend and somebody they looked up to has passed away. That's a tall order and something that's horrible. So yeah, he's saying poor Dream because he can emotionally understand that, and he feels sorry for Dream that he had to be the one to deliver that news to him, because that is a heavy burden to carry. I mean, it's pretty obvious to see why Tommy would use poor Dream here, why he would maybe feel some sympathy, some empathy towards Dream for doing that, hence saying poor Dream. This isn't some big deal. It doesn't mean that he doesn't still dislike Dream, or it doesn't mean that he's switched up, or, he's tweaking or anything. It just means that, look, he understands how hard that is, and that, poor Dream, that's something that he had to do. We're not just blowing this way out of proportion and hyper-analysing this for no reason. As much as I think TommyInnit is somebody who should be criticised, I've personally criticised, and I don't think he's some, all-sane individual. He's not some, evil comic book villain. He's being nicer about somebody like Dream in this podcast because he's in this podcast environment. It's a more mature environment. He's not with his friends. They're talking about maybe more serious stuff, like Dream having to give that awful news. He's not going to call him a bastard for doing that. We'll get back to the podcast in a second, because there's still a few things that I want to talk about and that other people have been talking about. But another thing that's made people think TommyInnit switched up on Dream is the fact that he was watching Dream stream for a while on his alt account or something. Why? Why does that matter? Fuck me. I know some people say that I might be a little obsessed with critiquing TommyInnit and looking for things to, make content on or whatever, but that's insane. That's another level of hyper over-analysing and just focusing on random things. Who honestly gives a flying fuck if he was watching Dream? I don't care. Who genuinely cares? Why is this a point? Why are we making a big deal out of all this tiny crap? I honestly wouldn't be able to make a video on this podcast if it wasn't for people saying just outrageous things to talk about.
You got the best life advice from Logan Paul, which is one of the most ironic things in my life, but he was really wise.
What do you say?
He was just career's a really long thing, prioritize your happiness, don't attach your worth to numbers.
I'll be critical of Tommy. So you know what he does? He decides to drag Logan Paul's name through the mud for those numbers. Yeah, do the complete opposite.
This kind of thing happens where I don't want to go too into this because I haven't even processed it myself very much. But someone who I've been deeply close with, Wilbur, a load of stuff comes out about him, and he's one of my best pals, but it's been a bit, I don't really know how public I don't really want to be very public about this.
TommyInnit said he's one of my best pals and referring to Wilbur Soot. Now, lots of people are saying that this means that TommyInnit has confirmed that Wilbur Soot and TommyInnit still talk behind the scenes and are friends. It's clearly referring to at the time, right? And re-going through step by step of what happened at the time of the situation, and that, at the time, me and him were good pals. We're not trying to find things in this podcast that just simply aren't there to bash TommyInnit with or talk about in reference to TommyInnit, and it's just ludicrous. This is insane stuff to be nitpicking at.
But quite suddenly, his reputation changes on the internet, and privately, a lot of light bulbs go off in my head where I'm oh shit. And that, really spins me out. And it spins out the audience. At the same time, a load of other YouTubers in the scene, it kind of starts this almost specifically Minecraft YouTube, Me Too movement.
TommyInnit isn't exactly wrong here. When the Wilbur Soot stuff came out, it kind of spiraled into so many different Minecrafters getting allegations, lots of which, though, it's important to mention, were fake.
Of everyone, loads of people, my colleagues are and they were a dickhead, and they were a dickhead, and they were a dickhead. Also, Dream, my relationship sort of fractures with him. A load of online stuff at the end of 2023 comes out about him. I feel very torn of what to do.
I find this interesting because what is he specifically talking about here? Because towards the end of 2023, when referring to Dream, most people are going to be referring to Dream's response, which breaks down his allegations and other things that came out about him and dismantles them. I can only assume TommyInnit is just talking about the wider situation there with Dream and all the stuff that happened during that time period.
I'm this community that we had that was tight-knit.
Right.
Of the dream recipe that was beautiful and lovely, and you know, every day I'd log on to Twitter and it'd feel like I'm going into the school cafeteria and everyone's going, "Hey Tom," begins to really fracture.
Okay.
And I stopped going on Twitter because it's spinning me out, which is a shame because, you know, especially before it was X and Elon bought it, it was this beautiful place. So I'm really spun out.
People have been focusing on like the words beautiful and lovely when referring to like the Dream SMP and the Times and all that type of stuff. I mean, again, we're just hyper-focusing on random bullshit here, right? Because although TommyInnit has alleged quite a bit of stuff since then and said that at times he felt miserable or whatever, right? And he's made accusations about the time, he probably did still think to a certain extent it was lovely, right? All his friends, the time period, having fun, you know, to a certain extent he is going to feel that. I think loads of people are just looking way too much into this and just, again, looking for something that isn't there and jumping to conclusions. I think the obvious takeaway is when it came to saying poor Dream, when talking about Technoblade, he obviously felt bad for Dream as well during that time because that was an awful time for all of those people. When he's being a bit more kinder to Dream and how he's talking about Dream, maybe in a bit more of a sympathetic way and in a bit of a kind of way, he's on a mature, more adult podcast. He's not going to be randomly cussing him out or talking about Dream in more of a negative light, maybe like he would on one of his streams or on a podcast with his friends or whatever. It's a completely different environment. It's a completely different setting. And I mean, when it comes to the Wilbur sort of stuff, I mean, it's so painfully obvious. I don't know why we're having this conversation. Ultimately, look, those are my views. I do think that this podcast, for actual content in terms of drama and stuff, outside of, you know, if you're a TommyInnit viewer, you're probably going to get like a good kick out of this podcast. And it is a pretty interesting watch. It's a nothing burger situation. There is nothing here. I should be able to make a video on it, but, you know, there is a conversation going on about it, and it was kind of hilarious to look at.
AI shouldn't be giving people cancer.
No, Tubbo, really? AI shouldn't be giving you cancer? Well, colour me blind. Ladies and gentlemen, stop your viewers. Welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. I hope you're having a good day, because I'm actually not. I'm in quite a lot of pain with my side, but we pushed through for, you know, the slot. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think today's topic is personally an interesting one, because Tubbo recently uploaded a pretty long video on AI, and this isn't a video where we're going to sit here and rip this video to absolute shreds. I don't think this video is a necessarily bad one, and actually I think Tubbo did a pretty good job at having a nuanced take on AI in this piece of content. And what I appreciate about Tubbo's video as well is you can see his thought process very clearly, only backed up further as well by the fact that you can see his thought process throughout the years on AI evolve.
And then what it does is it gets lots of different arts and pictures and then generates the phrase from all the databases it's found on.
That's so clever.
It is very clever. But basically the main reason people don't like it is because it takes from actual artists and you can't get the credit for the artist. The artist's work then being used in the AI art, if that makes sense.
In this Tubbo upload as well, he's specifically kind of talking about generative AI, not just AI in general, and actually says that, you know, of course, AI does have its benefits, and it would be stupid to say it doesn't.
So I want to start off this video by saying that a lot of this video is going to be driven by my opinion and personal experience with artificial intelligence. And I want to clarify a misconception about AI before we get into this video. This video is about generative AI. AI is very often used as just like one big negative, where a lot of the points of contention people have with AI comes from what's known as generative AI. I will be talking about the negative, but also I'm going to be talking about some of the good that AI has done, which I think is really impressive.
I mean, Tubbo here is just correct. The large majority of issues people claim to have with AI and use AI as a big bad negative is just with generative AI, not with actual just artificial intelligence in general. But people have no idea what they're talking about, so kind of just put everything together. What I also appreciate about this video as well is that it actually comes from that like TommyInnit sphere of these Minecraft YouTubers, and he's having this open, candid conversation about AI and saying what he believes, having a nuanced take on it, saying its positives, its negatives, going over some misinformation to do with it, talking about generative AI in specifics, which I appreciate. He's not doing what TommyInnit is doing, which is, you know, going with the popular take, which is AI is bad, it's all evil, then switching up when he realized he could use it for content, then switching back when his audience is telling him it's bad and cancelled him for it, and then just parroting what his audience is telling him.
I fully didn't know that AI was bad, by the way. I fully just thought it was funny. If I'd have known it was really bad for the environment, I never even would have even had a single thought about doing that. I had no clue. I didn't even know. And let me tell you now, I haven't been in bother for a long time, and it stressed me out, guys. And I think if you could have known how much it stressed me out, you maybe would have given me a break, because I didn't even know, mate. And you know I'm literally never even bad.
It's very clear TommyInnit is somebody with no backbone. He's clearly virtue signaling over the whole AI thing and saying exactly what he knows his audience wants to hear so he can avoid getting cancelled again. It's very clear that he's absolutely shit scared of his audience rebelling against him and absolutely slating him. I think it's very apparent. I actually do appreciate somebody in that same genre of content creation, in that same corner of the internet with a heavily overlapping audience, actually openly speaking about this topic in a similar vein to Markiplier and having a pretty honest conversation about it. I don't particularly like Tubbo and I've got lots of critiques for him, but this is something I think he's done very well.
Let's get started. First of all, I strongly believe unless you are 85 and live your life completely analog, the vast majority of the people watching this video every single day of their life interact with some form of AI. Whether that is a algorithm recommending you this video, or whether it's Google Maps telling you the fastest way to a destination, or Googling the recipe for a cake. Everyone every day interacts with AI. All of those examples I've given here are the traditional sense of AI. Generative AI is a type of AI that takes in large quantities of data and then tries to draw similarities between its large data set and the request of the end user to try to create something that is kind of an amalgamation of all of the data it has.
That's what fascinates me about the whole AI thing. Not AI itself, I honestly couldn't give a flying fuck if I'm honest. It's the fact that a large majority of people, when they're talking about AI and trying to critique it and virtue signal and moral grandstand over it, have absolutely zero idea what they're talking about. They will say that AI is bad, that AI is bad under all contexts, and that AI can never be used for good. But what they're actually talking about is generative AI, not just AI in general, but they have absolutely no idea what they're saying, they're just parroting other people online. And that's what you saw in the Markiplier situation, that's what you saw as well, a lot of in the TommyInnit situation as well, is the same old repeated bullshit arguments applying to just AI, saying that AI is all bad, that it can't be used for good, and cussing out anybody who slightly disagrees with that take, even though they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. So again, I appreciate somebody like Tubbo who has that audience that does that, actually trying to have a nuanced opinion, having a backbone to do that, to educate these people.
You see these videos on YouTube of people using character AI, which I think is very weird. I don't think there's any other way to frame that. I think it's very weird and I think it's very parasocial. But these are the kinds of personal negatives I have with AI, which for the time being, I'm gonna put to the side, and I want to talk about some of the more big picture AI stuff, because that's what this channel's about. We're about tech, we're about data centers. It is impossible to say that there is no cool technological advancement because of AI, because that is simply not true. AI and the infrastructure that is being developed for it is pushing the boundary, and it is right now the biggest thing. And the fact of the matter is, AI is so integrated into daily life that this is not going anywhere. Unlike Web3 applications, which kind of rose and fell, AI, I think, is something that's only going to get bigger because how widely it was adopted before it blew up.
This world is something I don't think a lot of people understand. Again, a lot of people's whole idea of AI is just generative AI. It's the chat GPTs, right? The creating images, creating text, all that type of stuff. That's what people think AI is, and that's where a lot of people believe AI stops. Well, ultimately, that isn't the case. A lot of people think that, you know, if you tweet enough and you shout loud enough to get people to stop using AI, that AI is just going to magically disappear. If enough people boycott it, it's not going to go anywhere, when that simply isn't the case, because AI is used in everyday life. What people are actually boycotting is generative AI, which also is something that isn't going away anytime soon. It is the next big thing, and it is unescapable. Whilst I understand the negatives that lots of people have in these parroted arguments, lots of people have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea the extent of it, and a lot of the issues that people have with are more on the ethical side of it. So, stealing people's artwork, the environmental factors that people love to bring up when they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. But a lot of these people just branch this under AI in general, because people have absolutely no idea what they're talking about, and a lot of these people are just moral grandstanding, are just virtue signaling, and have no idea what they're talking about, and just saying these things because it makes them look good.
In this video, I'm gonna try break it down into chapters for the three main things I want to talk about. The main thing, I already touched on a little bit, was generative AI. The second thing was the power consumption of AI. The third thing was the environmental complications of AI. And the fourth thing was the ethical sourcing of training data.
In the rest of the video, Tubbo speaks on, the more technical side, and he's genuinely trying to educate his audience. Again, it's very much in the similar vein to the Markiplier video. And I'm not going to play all the AI, techno babble, because I know a lot of you don't give a flying fuck. And if you do care, you're just going to go and watch that video regardless, which I highly recommend that if you are interested in the AI side of stuff, and you are a beginner, you have absolutely no idea, any critiques, any positives or whatever, go and watch this video. I actually recommend it. I can't believe I'm recommending a Tubbo video. I can't believe we got here.
There needs to be more regulation on where this data is coming from. There needs to be protections for independent creatives to be able to opt out of having their work used to train AI models. There needs to be a way to stop people from making their own AI models using stolen material. And right now, there is no good solution. Independent creatives will find it harder and harder to get work, and that makes me very sad. I think that there is so much good AI can do, and this is just not it. But that doesn't mean I'm not optimistic that in the future there could be a perfect solution. We're just not near that right now.
What I find absolutely hilarious about all of this is the contrast between how Tubbo speaks about AI and how he approaches it, and how TommyInnit approaches it, because Tubbo is having this open, candid conversation about his worries with AI, talking about the more technical side, and then also talking about the positives and that he's optimistic about AI and its potential. And then you've got TommyInnit, who's just absolutely shit scared of offending his audience. He realized that it backfired, saying that, AI was bad, and then switching to immediately, use it for content because he realized he could get some views off of it. He realized how badly that, backfired. So now he's just shit scared of the topic, and it's very clearly playing on his mind, when he's talking about it for several minutes straight on his streams because he is that shit scared. It's just funny. The contrast between these two people in the exact same niche, in the exact same corner of the internet, with such a huge overlapping audience, is just hilarious to me. One's got a backbone and one just doesn't.
I hate AI. I hate robots. I go into fast food stores, or no, I go into the co-op and I see the self-serve scan machine and I go.
Tommy, you can keep making jokes, but we all know you're absolutely shit scared of your audience cancelling you again and attacking you over the AI topic. It's very clearly a touchy subject, so you keep making your jokes because it's very clearly not working.
It downplays what a slur is. I think linguistically it's weird. I'm all for a joke, but I feel like it's weird.
Ladies and gentlemen, and slump your viewers, would you believe that what Jack Manifold is talking about there is over the word clanker?
That's a lot of clanking.
In today's video, we are going to be talking about the most recent episode of the Shut Up, I'm Talking podcast with TommyInnit and Jack Manifold. There were a couple of interesting conversations that I want to talk about on here, but if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. It really helps the channel out, especially if you do enjoy the content.
Now, fucking Mr. Beast joined Kick, and he's doing his first ever Kick stream on my birthday. Fucking hell, Jimmy, way to fucking outweigh my thing.
That is bad, isn't it? What's he doing that for?
TommyInnit isn't just saying that because the Mr. Beast stream coincides with Jack Manifold's birthday, but he's also saying that because Mr. Beast is using the platform Kick. And I'm sorry, but I've always found the criticisms and pushback and complaints about people streaming over on Kick and taking deals with Kick to be the most pathetic, non-issue argument ever. Does anyone remember the time that everyone tried cancelling Sapnap over the exact same thing a few years ago?
I'm just gonna say, frankly, the majority of Sapnap's demographic is people in communities such as LGBTQIA+, younger demographic and stuff like that. I feel like this platform is not a safe place to be openly trans, not a safe place to be openly Jewish, not a safe place to be black.
And if you let me, I just want to go on a little bit of a tangent here. It is kind of relevant here, but I recently saw this tweet. Once again, it's fuck Wilbur Sir, I'm Alex, Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star, James Charles, Dream, GeorgeNotFound, Sapnap, and fuck any of you who may be fans of these people. Some of these creators stand out a bit. Of course, GeorgeNotFound was falsely accused, but it's very obvious that this person believes Katie Bugg's lies. Then you've got Dream, who proved himself innocent, and then I was very curious about Sapnap until I saw just this absolutely hilarious reply. Dream and Sapnap both support GeorgeNotFound, who essayed a gal, just like how the members of Lovejoy are still terrible people for supporting Wilbur. Also, Sapnap took a Kick deal, knowing that it's not a safe platform for his fans, and Dream has said multiple slurs, and it's just weird. Oh no, the horror of Sapnap taking a Kick deal where it's not a quote-unquote safe space. Also love, right? Of course the GeorgeNotFound false accusations made it in there, but as well the fact that they've just run out of stuff to say about Dream, so he's now just weird. Anyway, tangent over, let's get back to the topic at hand.
To raise money for charity, which admittedly if you're gonna join Kick is the best reason to do it, but it's still not good.
Innit? When's Tubbo gonna sort him out?
Yeah, Tubbo will tell him off on Twitter.
Just such a non-issue, especially in current day. Kick has improved as a platform a lot. I honestly don't care if you stream on Kick, stream on whatever platform. Lots of these platforms have their faults, and I think Kick, of all these platforms, you know, the ones that were coming out like Rumble, has progressed quite a bit since, you know, 2 years ago.
Come on, Tubbo. Come on, Tubbo.
Hopefully
You did it
they
before.
can bully him out of it again. Remember when he did the AI thumbnail tool and everyone went, "This is bad, Jimmy," so he got rid of it.
Really?
Yeah, he did a website where you could like have AI make thumbnails for you. And everyone went, "This is really bad, Jimmy. It's going to put people out of jobs." So he changed the link to be a website where, like, you could hire thumbnail artists to, like, compensate.
I think this is something that isn't spoken about enough, how MrBeast responded to the criticism and backlash after the whole AI thumbnail thing. The fact that he then linked actual artists, went out his way, did a whole Twitter video apology, and actually implemented steps so artists could be hired. Nobody really spoke about that because it wasn't going to get any views. People just shut on him for the whole AI thing, moved on, didn't bother covering his response. And I still think that just isn't right.
Fair, feel you there, Jimmy. But we're in the same boat, me and him, Jimmy. There, fair enough.
What do you mean?
Of doing the wrong thing.
That was broad.
Just doing the wrong thing with a robot.
Again, I made a point in my last video when I covered the whole Tubbo AI video, which was an actual good video by Tubbo, in a similar vein to how Markiplier was talking about the positives and negatives and the nuances behind AI. I spoke about how it's very clear as well with TommyInnit streams and how often he mentions AI and how he talks about it. It's very much still in his head, and he's terrified of his audience actually cancelling him, so he's just parroting what his audience is saying. And I find it so funny that it's still on his mind and he still has to bring it up every time just the AI topic comes up.
Just doing the wrong thing with the robots and that. We both didn't know. It's an easy mistake to make. You cannot know.
I'm so sick of TommyInnit saying things like this, because whether you think that AI is bad when it comes to generative AI, that is, or if it's good, or if you don't care, whatever, TommyInnit himself said several times in the past that he sees it as bad. Then he switched up to use it for content because he saw the views it was getting, then switched back when his audience cancelled him for it. He literally said in the bio of the fucking video that people cancelled him for that he thought it was bad. It's like you said it yourself in the description of that same video. What are you talking about? He's trying to victimize himself to make it out like he had genuinely no idea, so it came as a shock when all his audience started cancelling him for it, when that just isn't the case. He held the view that AI was bad and said it several times, and then switched up to use it for content, then switched back to virtue signal when he was getting cancelled by his audience, something that's made him clearly paranoid.
Hey.
I'm going to say it though, to defend the AI briefly. I don't think everyone should be calling them robot slurs.
My chat was saying like, what is it? Veins, not wires.
Innit?
It's brutal.
It's a bit like it's something about it rubs me up wrong. It don't feel right. I don't think our way of condemning it should be calling it slurs. I just don't. I think that's a bad. I think that's a bad. It sets a bad precedent.
We have reached a different level of virtue signal and moral effing. We are sitting here talking about if the word clanker is a slur, and if that's the right way to go about this. It was a stupid bit from Star Wars: The Clone Wars that then made its way onto the internet and then blew up. That's what it is. Like what the fuck are we doing here?
That's not our only way.
I think it downplays what a slur is. I think linguistically it's weird.
For the first part of this, when I was watching this, I thought they were joking around that, oh, this is a slur, oh, this is bad. But then, like, the way TommyInnit's reacting, TommyInnit's talking about it, it makes it very much seem like this isn't a bit, this isn't a joke, and that this is genuinely belief that Jack Manifold holds, that this is a bad thing to be doing. If you genuinely think this is bad, and that this is something that shouldn't be going on, and that you're going to moral grandstand, and you're going to virtue signal about it over something from Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I'm done. I don't know what to say. I genuinely can't critique it beyond look at it. I'm genuinely speechless, and that is so rare. I cover so many different topics that are so crazy, and it's rare that I left gobsmacked, but I genuinely am. I have no idea what to say in response to this. A part of me genuinely still thinks that this is some form of bit, but it genuinely seems like this is something they are taking seriously. Genuinely, I want to hear what you, ladies and gentlemen, something viewers have to say about this. If you think this is a bit, if you think this is genuinely something they are saying seriously, because it comes across like they're saying this seriously.
I'm all for a joke, but I feel like it's weird. I don't know. Something about it feels wrong to me.
Guys, get his ass.
They're not going to get me.
Get his ass.
If I get got, you know what?
If I get got.
If you lock me up and throw away the key, if saying slurs are bad is going to get me thrown in jail.
For one, nobody is going to say, well, I don't think you should be sticking up for AI like that. I think people are going to say, you're fucking nuts, mate. What are you talking about? And he says about, like, oh, saying slurs are bad, but it's a line from a Star Wars program. Why are we having this conversation?
Hell, these days, fucking dark woke has got me ruined, alright?
God, you just went, what was that?
Dark woke's coming from me,
What's
man.
dark woke?
So, like, you know, being anti-AI is woke, but, like, calling them slurs is, like, dark woke, you know? You're being woke, but you're saying it in an evil way.
I'm sorry, nobody with above one brain cell who isn't terminally online has ever used the word dark woke in a sentence before. And calling AI or like a robot or a auto-generated comment a clanker isn't dark woke. You're repeating a Star Wars quote. Genuinely do think this is a serious take. This isn't a bit. This isn't them joking around. I think they're genuinely trying to virtue signal this. Again, I'd be open to different interpretations and what you think, if they're being sarcastic, if they're joking, but just how they're saying it, their faces, whatever, just does not come across like that whatsoever. And I saw this, I had to make a video about it.
Someone said, do you regret revealing your race? But like, they meant face, and I just started laughing, like thinking about the implications if they meant race.
Talking about more Dream stuff, because Dream has been taken out of context horrifically and slandered online. If you haven't already, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hit the notification bell. It really helps out the channel, especially if you do enjoy the content. So, without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand. Recently, on stream, Dream was asked a question if he regretted doing his face reveal. Instead of asking if he regretted his face reveal, somebody accidentally asked if he regretted his race reveal.
Someone said, do you regret revealing your race? But like, they meant face.
Then Dream started joking around with this idea and going along with the beer, and he's very clearly joking in this clip about what he's gonna say.
So I just started laughing, like thinking about the implications if they meant race, like as if like, I don't know. Do you regret revealing your race? I'm like, yes, actually, I do regret revealing my race.
Look, I'm gonna hyper-analyze this autistically. He's already joking around. He's doing a little giggle. It's very clear that he's got a sarcastic, jokey tone on, and he's just having a laugh. This isn't a serious conversation. He's just seen somebody mess up their message about his face reveal, saying it's a race reveal, and now he's joking along and going along with this idea, and he's about to make a joke.
Actually, I do regret revealing my race because I wish that I was black.
Again, he's very clearly joking when he says this. He's literally giggling as he says this. It's in a joking context. It's about somebody messing up their message. He's then joking about it, going along with this whole idea. He said that. It's very clearly some quote-unquote dark humor, if you want to even call it that, but it's just some light jokes and banter.
I wish that I was Asian. I regret revealing my race. As soon as I revealed that I was white, everyone hated me.
Again, his tone, how he's saying that, he's very clearly joking. He doesn't think that everybody hates him because he's white. That is not something that he genuinely believes, and it's very clear that's not something he believes. And to genuinely say that would be incredibly disingenuous. So that's exactly what people started saying, that this is something that he genuinely believes, and that this clip is him being serious. People also then decided to be incredibly disingenuous and cut the context that he was reading a message from his chat. So the clip just played like this.
I do regret revealing my race because I wish that I was black. I wish that I was Asian. I regret revealing my race. As soon as I revealed that I was white, everyone hated me.
They cut that context there, that much needed context, but even then, I think it's still very obvious that this guy is joking. He's not actually saying this, he doesn't actually believe that. It's very, very clear, but people were incredibly disingenuous, and this started spreading around with this post. Soon as I revealed I was white, everyone hated me, oh sure. And he's just incredibly disingenuous and malicious to do this. If you don't like Dream, that is fair enough. There's plenty of stuff to genuinely critique about Dream. On this channel, we've had our fair share of critiques to go towards him, but maliciously cutting stuff out of context and being disingenuous about him to spark some type of controversy and backlash is just plain gross. And when this was maliciously posted and clipped out of context, there were genuinely lots of people that believed it. One of those tards that ended up believing it was Midas himself. For one, when you're actually watching this clip, even without the context, how dense do you have to genuinely be not to get that he's joking? He's literally giggling as he's saying this, and he's not sounding serious whatsoever. It's very clearly a joke even without the context. So on top of that, you'd have to be just incredibly dense and just even disingenuous and malicious to even believe that he was saying this seriously in the first place, even without the much needed context. Ultimately, whilst lots of people genuinely believe this clip and were being incredibly disingenuous with it, there were quite a few people that did push back and say that this was cut out of context. And when this person who originally posted this tweet got some backlash, this was their initial response. Right, Steve Lamau, get out of my account, free me. Steve Lamau setting me up to get jumped, then retweeting super bad art so I don't see it. Get out of my house. If it is genuinely the case that this Steve guy went onto this person's account and actually tweeted this clip out of context, as soon as you realised it was out of context, why wouldn't you just delete it immediately and apologise for having that clip up on your account and spreading misinformation? It's that simple. That's ultimately not what they do. They don't delete the tweet or anything for quite a while. We're not even there yet. Guys, this tweet was not made by me. I am peaceful individual. Take your complaints up with @SteveLamau. Okay, if that's the case, great, but you clearly know that something that is on your account is incorrect and you're getting backlash for it. So instead of constantly saying that it's this guy's fault, just delete the post that's on your account and apologise for having misinformation up on your account and give a little bit of an explanation. That's all you simply need to do. It's really not that hard. How many times do I need to reiterate I did not make that tweet? At this point still, the tweet was still publicly available. Yes, we get it. You didn't make the tweet, but the tweet is still up on your account. You now have the responsibility to remove that post that is spreading misinformation and being incredibly disingenuous. At this point, they still haven't deleted their tweet, so then they decide to try and make themselves out to be an even bigger victim by posting this tweet, and it's just absolutely hilarious. Dream stands calling me the arsler. I said, oh, I'm sure. Well, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but they're calling you that because you're a complete utter moron, because you've still got this disingenuous post that is framing a disingenuous narrative up on your account. And you keep telling people that, look, stop giving me all this backlash. It wasn't me who made the tweet, but you've still got the tweet up on your account. Emphasis on your account, and you've now got that decision to be able to remove that post or not. I genuinely feel like I'm going mental and just constantly repeating myself because it just genuinely seems so obvious. If you've got a post on your account that is disingenuous and untrue, even if you didn't post it and you're getting backlash and people are telling you, look, this isn't it, this is taken out of context, surely you would delete it instead of keep saying, stop with all the backlash, it wasn't me. Just remove it, it's on your account. Until it's not gone, people are going to come for you, regardless if you made it or not, because it's on your account. Shocker, of course, this person doesn't delete the tweet. And we're private. I will be enjoying my night in peace. There's a reason this person was getting backlash. This isn't unfair, I don't feel sympathetic towards this person. This person decided to private their account before deleting a post that they didn't even post, and by how they're acting, they don't even stand by necessarily. At this point, I don't give a shit if they posted it or if some random other loser posted this tweet. It's on their account, they have that decision ultimately, and they have absolutely fumbled how they've handled this. Then post, delete the tweet, I hate this app. Ultimately, if you just remove the post, none of this would have happened in the first place. People rightfully called you out for you having misinformation and framing a disingenuous narrative on your account. You can't then go, oh, I hate this app. I quickly want to talk about some of the people that, believe this and just how arrogant some of these tweets are. Someone writes, no, he's not. He's exploring the implications of if the commenter really meant it. There's no indication that he's joking here. Yeah, of course, it's not like he's giggling or his tone of voice or anything like that. There's no indication whatsoever. This situation is a complete and utter nothing burger. This shouldn't be something that I can talk about. This is obviously a joke. People make jokes like this all the time. He's giggling, he's having a bit of fun. There is literally nothing wrong with this clip, but these people are being so disingenuous, taking things out of context, framing it in a disingenuous narrative that I can talk about this, and it's genuinely gross. I just don't get it. In person then writes, what about his tone indicates that he's joking? Also, I don't want to find an excuse to hate him. I've defended him against claims of grooming, for example. If I were just itching to hate him, why wouldn't I just run with that? That doesn't stop you being disingenuous here or running with a disingenuous narrative here. Great that you didn't run with that narrative and you actually apparently defended Dream on that. Good for you, but that doesn't stop you being disingenuous here. Look, I'll be fair, Meal here. Maybe this guy's just fucking dense. That is also a possibility. There is one more post just relating to the situation that I saw that I just had to talk about because it is so naive and infuriating. Oh, these poor white men. I mean, straight off the bat being incredibly disingenuous, buying into the false narrative, blah, 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 blah. But then attached to this tweet, they post this clip. I'll play it in its entirety for you.
Hold up your gift. Hold up your gift. You need to show your gift to stream. Come on. You need to show your gift. It's your new,
Guys, this is awesome.
No! Yeah! What are you doing? You flip the camera. Go back. Yeah!
Save America again.
Stop.
Oh my god.
Let's get a few things straight. They're all joking, they're all having a laugh, they clearly don't support Trump, they're all going, oh my god, right? It's meant to be, haha, how funny is this? We've got you this piece of shit flag, oh, how funny is it? That's meant to be the joke, that they've got a Donald Trump flag that says, make America great again, is kind of funny, that's the whole point. And then they literally burn the flag after, what are you on about? And this person then replies with saying, they still bought a flag that supports his campaign, I don't give a fuck what they did after. And you don't care about necessary context and you're framing this in an incredibly malicious light. They're all joking, you're going to be hard pressed to find many people that give a fuck that they bought a flag to take the piss and have a laugh about it. I'm sorry, this is just the most pathetic, disingenuous thing ever. I just find this so pathetic, because if you don't like the guy and there genuinely isn't a reason, that's fine, you aren't going to like everybody, and if there genuinely is a reason, there are plenty of things to critique about Dream, like we've done on this channel plenty of times. Dream has done and said things that deserve to be spoken about and critiqued, and that's completely valid. But digging this low, being disingenuous, cutting context of clips, and then going out to find stuff like that to try and smear these people and shit all over them just isn't it.
Guys, I think we need to get a little bit serious here.
In today's video, we're going to be discussing the TommyInnit and Rambo quote-unquote drama. I say quote-unquote drama because the situation at hand isn't actual proper beef between these two content creators. This is something like a lot of the drama within the Minecraft sphere at the moment is being entirely manufactured by their fans. But before we get into the slopic at hand, if you haven't already, please consider leave a like, subscribing, and hit the notification bell. It really helps out the channel, especially if you do enjoy the content. But without further ado, let's dive into the slopic at hand. Now, all of this drama originated from something that Rambo recently said on one of his streams that caused up a bit of controversy. People believe that on his stream, Rambo was openly mocking TommyInnit Square videos. Now, if you don't know what TommyInnit Square videos are, I don't blame you. I personally avoid them like the Black Plague. TommyInnit Square videos are his main type of content now, where he sits down in a square video format and talks about his emotions and how mentally unwell he's feeling. And sometimes he might even slap one of those videos on a t-shirt and sell it to you for an outrageous price.
I just start feeling kind of self-doubtful about everything I'm doing and just a bit hopeless and pointless. And it's probably because, like, of all the shit that... Can you stop, man? Because it's probably because of all the shit that happened and, you know, a mate dying. Take that.
If you buy a t-shirt that has a thumbnail and title of somebody's mental breakdown video, then you are an utter freak. But if TommyInnit wants to sit down and do that and sell that t-shirt, that's his prerogative, that's completely fine. I'm not going to say anything about it that isn't really controversial. But Rambo made a couple of jokes about the square video format, and people immediately associated this with TommyInnit, and people were outraged. But let's see what Rambo actually said in this clip.
Guys, I think we need to get a little bit serious here. Alright? There's only one way that I know how to make things serious.
You know, immediately straight off the bat, regardless if this is about TommyInnit Square videos or whatever, just mocking a video concept is completely fine. Nobody should give a flying shit about this whatsoever. This is a complete non-issue. If Rambo wants to make a joke about it, that is completely fine. And I mean, on top of that as well, Rambo is somebody who has done one of these Square videos before, where they sat down and spoke to the audience about something they were going through. So who ultimately gives a shit at the end of the day when they're literally mocking something they've done themselves? Realistically here, if Rambo has done one of these videos in the past, they are most likely taking the piss out of themselves. And even if they're not, nobody should give a shit about this. This is such a non-issue.
I just want to say that I really appreciate you guys. Alright? And, you know, that, your guys' support has just meant a lot to me these last Rambo days. And, you know, it's just... I've been... Whoa! Thank you so much, Starlight Legion, for the 5 gifted. I just wanted to say that, you know, things have been, you know, just a little bit tough. All right? I've been struggling with my mental health. You know.
To me, so far, I think it's a big leap in logic and a big stretch to suggest that Rambo would possibly be making fun of TommyInnit here. And even if that was the case, why do you care? He's allowed to do that. TommyInnit has put that content out there publicly. People can have their say, people can mock it. But ultimately, I do genuinely believe that Rambo is most likely just mocking something that he did himself. And look, maybe you're someone who just finds it uncomfortable to make a joke about this type of topic. That's your prerogative at the end of the day. But Rambo isn't even saying anything outrageous here. So I just genuinely don't don't get what all the fuss is about. That's honestly a large amount of this Minecraft drama at the moment to do with these people. It's people blowing things out of proportion. These fans getting annoyed over absolutely nothing and fueling a drama that just isn't there. They won't point out obvious critiques to do with these content creators, but will happily do something like this, blowing this out of proportion and complaining about something like this.
And it's just, you know, I just want to unload that onto you guys in a way that will, you know, just have you feel sympathy for me. So, like, I just, you know, your guys' support just really means the world.
I mean, even if Rambo is just talking about himself and using some self-deprecating humor here, I don't even necessarily disagree with the joke point about, you know, these videos a lot of the time being very much sympathy baiting. Yes, they're getting their feelings about their own mental health and their own situations out in the public, but to me, it very much does scream sympathy baiting and feel bad for me, look what I'm going through.
And I just wanted to say, like, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the support. Thank you guys for all the, you know, because I care. We care. All right? All right? So just remember that. The next time you're watching my content, that I care about you. Just remember that. All right, no, serious part over. Who wants to come for all the serious bits?
Ultimately, after this was said, on stream, lots of people decided to clip this up and connect the dots to TommyInnit. Lots of people jumped to this assumption that Rambo was specifically talking about TommyInnit here and making fun of him. Again, it's such a non-issue because even if he was making fun of TommyInnit for the square videos, Rambo has literally done the same thing because there's always going to be a level of self-deprecation there. The user tweets out saying, why is Rambo being a weirdo, Lamar? Asked what's going on, and they put mocking TommyInnit's square videos and basically calling Tommy parasocial to his fans, even though Rambo used to have a vent channel in his public DC server where only he vented. It's just childish and hypocritical, lol. Now, I know this might be adventurous and not as disingenuous as you're trying to frame, but maybe instead of it being hypocritical, maybe that's the point, taking piss out of himself and him even doing square content in the past. And the joke is mocking Tommy's mental health. They did us, just kept going, oh my fucking god. I mean, ultimately, Rambo wasn't making fun of Tommy's mental health. He was mocking the idea of square videos and venting to the audience, something that he's done in the past. This is just simply a joke. There is nothing more deep here. I think it's disingenuous to say otherwise and frame it in this light. Rambo wasn't sitting here making fun of TommyInnit's personal experiences and something he's gone through. He's not actively mocking TommyInnit's mental health. Get a grip. Someone with sense put, guys, they're referencing their own video, calm down. I do genuinely love that TommyInnit fans and all these other people immediately just went to the most disingenuous route that they possibly could. Not the fact that maybe, just maybe, Rambo was just mocking the idea of square content, maybe himself, just talking about it in general and having a laugh, but instead went to this idea that they were actively mocking TommyInnit's mental health instead of something like this, a possibility like this. I find it just so hilarious. Rambo actually came out to make a couple of responses over on their Tumblr page. Getting a lot of asks about the square box bit I did today, and I just want to say I was joking about my own video I made / past shit I've done and really nothing else. Not everything I do has something to do with other creators, y'all. So there isn't nothing to say this isn't exactly what Rambo was doing. People are just framing this as an incredibly disingenuous lie and an excuse to mock and go towards Rambo. And I mean, regardless, even if they were trying to also mock TommyInnit with this, they are also mocking themselves. They aren't just personally targeting TommyInnit like lots of these people are spinning the narrative to be. Who then stated, I'm so tired of any time I do shit, people are consistently trying to find connections to other people that just aren't there so they can get upset. Just let me be and move on. And I mean, this can apply to a lot of the Minecraft drama I've recently covered. Lots of these fan bases just spin things in a malicious way to find a reason to target one of these Minecraft YouTubers and be disingenuous. Realistically, what Rambo said as comedy should be nothing more than just a funny tweet that somebody has clipped up to put out there for the sake of it. Nobody should be really attacking Rambo for this. I think it's just completely unnecessary and lots of these people are being incredibly disingenuous. But ultimately, that's where I'm going to leave it. This situation is a nothing burger situation. This is just another thing where fans have maliciously twisted things, been disingenuous, and gone after a creator for that. I honestly do feel bad for Rambo in this situation. They weren't sitting there actively mocking TommyInnit, making fun of TommyInnit's experiences with their mental health. They were just mocking this whole square mental health type concept as a video, something they've done in the past. But unfortunately, in the Minecraft community, it's like a sin or something to have a nuanced take.
Does it worry you that you might be spreading misinformation? How do you overcome that? Yeah, no, dude, that's a really good question. But no, like, I genuinely do worry a lot that I spread misinformation on stream.
In today's video, we're going to be talking about the most recent Tubbo controversy. Now, this all stems from a conversation that Tubbo was having on one of his most recent streams, and it's safe to say people were genuinely not happy with what Tubbo said, and I think it's incredibly unfair. But ladies and gentlemen, before we get into what Tubbo said on stream, if you haven't already, please consider leaving a like, subscribing, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. It really helps out the channel, especially if you do enjoy the videos. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand. On one of Tubbo's recent live streams, Tubbo was having an open conversation which involved the topic of pro-lifers.
I see young people, bro. I see young people being pro-life, and I'm like, this has just got to be like failure of education at this point. You know what I mean?
This conversation then turned into where these people might get their beliefs from and why they believe the things they do, which is the bit that has gained controversy.
They just follow their parents before learning. I don't even think that's necessarily true. Young men are falling so quickly into the incel/right pipeline, and it's depressing to see. Honestly, is that totally the case?
One thing to note immediately is it's pretty clear that Tubbo is having an open conversation on stream with his audience about these topics. He's just putting his thoughts and views out there and having this open dialogue. The topic of conversation here is about the vast amount of young men falling into the quote-unquote right-wing and incel pipeline.
Young men are falling so quickly into the incel/right pipeline, and it's depressing to see.
I think something that's pretty important to state here is, of course, this all comes down to what you see as people being right-wing or going down the incel pipeline. People are going to have different versions of what that looks like, so of course people are going to differ based on what that is.
Is that totally the case? Because I don't know. I feel like it's easy to think that because it's reported on a lot in the news as well. But also because they're so loud if they do fall into that pipeline. Like, I want to like firmly believe like it's a vocal minority.
I mean, ultimately, there are lots of younger men that are quote-unquote right-wing, and there are also lots of younger men at the moment that are also quote-unquote left-wing. It comes down to what you think each of those terms actually means and what you believe certain people's political beliefs actually are. Because different media outlets with different agendas will tell you a different story. If you are somebody who is left-wing, they're going to tell you that lots of younger men are falling into the right-wing incel pipeline. But if you are somebody who is right-wing, people are going to say the exact opposite to what people who are left-wing are saying. I mean, ultimately, there is no problem with Tubbo questioning this if it's actually as bad as the media and other people are representing. This is an open discussion, and that's a view that he can have and talk about. So I think it's important to note as well that Tubbo isn't saying that this doesn't happen, he's just saying that he doesn't think it's as bad as what's being represented.
And like a silent majority. I think the Andrew Tate revolution probably didn't help. Dude, was that as big as it really was? Because I was also like huge and had huge influence in the same time that Andrew Tate was at like his peak. And like, bro, my community was like the antithesis of that.
Now, I think there's a few things to say here. Of course, Andrew Tate was absolutely massive in his peak. Secondly, when Tubbo was in his peak, Andrew Tate was not in his peak, and vice versa. And thirdly, Tubbo's audience are more left-leaning, so he probably wouldn't have seen the effects that Andrew Tate did have. Ultimately, Tate did have a big impact on younger men for a while, but I don't ultimately disagree with Tubbo questioning if it was as bad as people were saying, because ultimately, towards the end of the whole media frenzy with Tate, people were drumming up how bad the influence Tate had on younger men actually was, because whilst it definitely was there, people started just making up shit. Here I'm talking about the influence and impact this actually had on younger men, not actually Tate's actions. I want to make that clear because there's lots of bad faith people at the moment trying to clip me out of context.
It didn't feel like I don't know. I feel like it's easy to have like a spyglass view on like a small microcosm. But I don't know. Your community was girls, lol. At peak, my community was 50-50, maybe 60-40.
Like I said earlier about Tubbo's community and what Tubbo would have seen still stands here, and another critique I would have towards Tubbo here is he does seem like he's stumbling over his words a little bit, and I get it, it's on an alt stream, he's not trying to have a serious conversation, he's just having this open dialogue, which I do appreciate, but if you are going to be talking about these topics, you know, in any capacity, having your thoughts together in any which way and just taking a bit of time is helpful. Whilst I do have a few critiques for this clip at hand, like I do for most clips, I honestly do not understand the vast amount of backlash that Tubbo got here. I could explain everything wrong with this, but it's not my fucking job, nor Chat's. When will he learn not to broadcast his ignorance on stream instead of just doing research? How long has he held this view? I thought he'd improved from last time. How utterly depressing. Take away this white privileged guy's microphone. We all know who I'm talking about. Truthfully, if you care about educating, having a conversation, bring voices of the people who experience stuff on to speak and give their perspective and talk, not talk in a position of privilege, and like every issue will also affect/reach you. Goes for anyone. A user puts, I was watching the stream, also what did he say that was bad? Everything was spot on, especially what he said about religion in my opinion. Someone responds with his comments about how Andrew Tate had no impact on young men and the treatment of women. All of his Tory statements he's made over the years. It's frequent and I just think he needs to be fully educated before he makes statements. Not hate, but just criticism of his behaviour. Again, another incredibly disingenuous person because at no point did Tubbo state that Andrew Tate had absolutely zero impact on young men and the treatment of women.
I think the Andrew Tate revolution probably didn't help. Dude. Was that as big as it really was?
At no point in this clip did Tubbo say that Andrew Tate had zero impact on young men and the treatment of women. It's funny that you say that Tubbo should be educated when you haven't even bothered to educate yourself on what Tubbo actually said before making a statement on it. Traitors like Tubbo simply don't do enough activism to get away with saying brash shit about incel culture. User then responded saying, what kind of things do you think he said? That user then responded by saying he said that Andrew Tate hasn't had an effect on young men. Insane to say when his ideology has led to thousands of violent hate crimes. When he says this, he's specifically referring to this little bit that Tubbo said.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's easy to have like a spyglass view on like a small microcosm. But I don't know.
I think that user's take is incredibly disingenuous, but what I will say is, again, Tubbo's wording and how he articulates things there doesn't help him. When he's saying, yeah, but I don't know, and it's very disconjointed, it has allowed people to be disingenuous and take things like this and put it in their own narrative. The user put, 1 woman every 3 days in the UK, 140 women every day globally, 2,300 more women in 2023 than 2022. I found these statistics in seconds. It isn't hard to educate yourself before practically belittling the danger women face every single day. Now, Tubbo actually responded to this, and this is what he had to say. Hey, I absolutely had no intention of belittling, and I'm so sorry it came across that way. This was me asking chat questions about the issues that they care about, as I want to be proactive in talking about issues that are important to my community. I totally agree that my wording here is very bad, and I'll do better. Which, whilst I think he could have definitely worded a few things better, I don't think his wording was very bad, and that he should quote-unquote do better. What he said in the clip wasn't that egregious. Yes, I think he could have constructed himself in a better way, but not to the extent where he needs to do a public apology like that.
Like, I don't claim to preach the absolute truth. Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not being like, this is the way you should also think. Because chat know that I am a college dropout. Chat know that I have no qualification to my name. They know I have never interacted with political science ever. Like, and I feel like by just being totally upfront that I don't know everything can also be like, I don't know. I feel like also there's an issue with people being scared to say stuff because they feel like they don't know anything. And I kind of want to be here and be like, hey, I also don't know everything.
Ultimately, whilst I think there are a few critiques to have with the clips, I think it's been blown way out of proportion yet again. I think people are being incredibly disingenuous with how they are discussing Tubbo in this clip, and I think it's a shame that Tubbo kind of folded in on that. Just to wrap up this video, whilst actually looking for posts about this whole thing, I saw lots of people defending Tubbo from misinformation that was going around and claims that was being made against Tubbo's name because of this whole situation that was slandered slander and people being disingenuous. What I found very funny about these certain individuals calling out people for being disingenuous, saying things without proof and making these slanderous claims against Tubbo, was some of these people were the exact same people that were making slanderous claims against me, calling me misogynistic based off absolutely nothing, bar that Adam McIntyre called me a misogynist. I think it's very funny people will actively call out people being incredibly disingenuous, malicious, cutting things out of context, false claims, and things that basically have no evidence to back them up when it's about a content creator that they like or agree with, but when it's against somebody that has said something that they don't particularly agree with, they're completely fine with spreading those said things that they are speaking out against when it's about somebody that they actually like. Mentioning this not only because I found it funny, but also because it is a really big issue within the Minecraft scene. People having incredibly flimsy morals and integrity when it comes to having opinions and takes, and I think it's something important to kind of bring up and mention. But yes, now I will wrap up this video and we'll stop waffling. But ladies and gentlemen, I do really hope you enjoyed today's compilation and you're all caught up on the drama if you weren't so already. But I've been your host Samuel. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and hit the notification bell and leave a comment down below, and I will catch you in the next thumbnail video. Goodbye.